So today I thought I'd post the recipe and a video of me making Spanish traditional Easter treats that I made over the weekend. I used to live in Spain, and being as I'm back in the UK this year for Easter, I thought I would try making my own from scratch. So this is the recipe that I used on a Spanish website, and the whole recipe was in Spanish, but if you go to the link in my bio, I wrote a blog post where I translated the recipe into English using English ingredients, so you can definitely give these a go at home. And yeah, they're really easy, so let's get into it. So the first step is to measure out 500 grams of flour and put that into a bowl. I personally did a mix between strong bread flour and self-raising flour because I thought that would work best, and then add 12 grams of dry yeast into the bowl. Mix that together. I then added the 80 grams of sugar, 100 grams of melted butter, quarter of a litre of room temperature or slightly warm milk, 1 egg and a pinch of salt into the bowl. And I mixed that with a fork first, and then started mixing it with my hands to make sure all of the ingredients were well incorporated before we start kneading the dough. You want to knead the dough until it creates like a dry texture and it's no longer sticky to touch. I then put some flour in another bowl and put the ball of dough in that bowl and covered it with a tea towel to then put in the oven at a maximum of 50 degrees for 20 to 30 minutes until the dough ball has risen and doubled in size. I left the oven door slightly open while they were in the oven, and once they come out of the oven, just knead them a bit more so it's easier to work with. And the recipe recommends dividing the dough into 4 or 5 pieces. I personally did 5 and they turned out quite big, so if you wanted to make smaller ones, I'd definitely say that there's enough dough to do that. And if you were using smaller eggs, you could also make smaller shapes so that the eggs fit properly in the shapes. So it's entirely up to you, and you don't just have to make rings or circles, you could make a rabbit shape. The recipe that I used, they also made a tortoise and like a nest, so use your imagination and make it into any shape you want. You're then going to put these back in the oven for 10 minutes, again at a maximum of 50 degrees, just so that they puff up a bit more. Once you've taken them out of the oven, mix 1 egg yolk with 1 tablespoon of milk and paint that onto the shapes that you've made, and then sprinkle your toppings on top. I personally used hundreds and thousands and normal sprinkles and a bit of sugar. Then put them back in the oven at 200 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes, and they should look something like this when they come out. Then want to leave them to cool completely before adding the hard-boiled egg, the chocolate egg, or leaving it plain. It's up to you. I personally added Kinder Surprise eggs to the centre, but traditionally they also add hard-boiled eggs that have been painted in different colours, or you could just leave it plain like I did one of these. And yeah, if you tried making these, I'd love to see how they turned out, so tag us on Instagram at Wanderlust Hobbies.